Hi, my name is Björn Siegert and I'm Senior Leader for the Trollbridge project. Today I give you a rundown of our lovely talking horse, also known as Horsey horse. I will show you how we set up our lighting scenes and then how we finally render them with GarageFarm. First, a quick note about software versions. We use Vanilla Maya 2016 and we use Yeti for our hair. That's the version 2.1.0. And we use the, where is it? There. Maya to Arnold, that's the version 1.3.1. And we are also using the Arnold shaders from Andreas Langlands, which you can find on his webpage, and then download the version for our Arnold version, which we are using. So after that, let's get started. So first, we say open scene and we set our project to our shot. I have here my tutorial shot, which I select, and I set the project, say yeah, we want to create a default workspace, and then I already downloaded the latest animation file and the latest camera track. So first things first, we will export a Alembic bake from our animation file. So we open the animation scene. We don't want to save that, just click OK. And usually it will say ask for our reference file for our rig. So we browse and we browse to our rig, which is usually in the Dropbox folder of our lighting shots under Horse Rig, and always pick the latest version which is available. So once the scene has loaded, just get rid of all the open windows. We don't really care, we only care about the outliner. So we look for a group which is called Geo Group, Render Geo Group. This is the group we are interested in. We select this, and then we go to Cache, Alembic Cache, Export Selection to Alembic, and hit the option box. We say we want the whole frame range, so the whole time slider frame range, and also make sure that no normals is active and the rest of all the checkboxes are not checked, so only no normals. And then export selection. It will automatically place your Alembic caches in the cache Alembic subfolder, and we just give it a name, and I usually call it anem head, and then wait until it's exported. Once our animation is exported, we open our camera track and clear that warning, close that window. The reason why we need to open the camera track is we want to get rid of the image plane which is in there. We don't need that for rendering. So we select the camera and go to the image plane, select the image plane, and now hit the delete key to delete it. Next, we want to make sure we clean up our scene before we save it. So make sure the unknown nodes are enabled. Optimize, OK, and now we can save the scene under a new name. We go to Scenes, and I already previously saved it, so I just overwrite my file here. With all that done, we are now ready to set up our shot. For this, we start with a fresh Maya scene. We open up the reference editor, and we import first, let me go back to my workspace root. We first import our previously saved camera track data. That's the camera. And then we import the latest published version of our horse head. This you can find under horse head look dev in the lighting rendering folder, and under scenes, and you pick the latest published version of the horse head. Once the head is loaded, we can close the reference editor, and we now need to set up our project. For this, we use our Trollbridge tools and hit Setup Project. This will set up our project, for example, the frames per second to 25 and the renderer to Arnold, the correct motion blur settings, and also the render resolution. You can close that. Next is that we import our animation. We open the outliner and go to Alembic Bake. Open this group and select the Render Geo group. Now we can import our Alembic cache under Cache Alembic Import, the option box, and make sure you import under current selection and merge the data. Hit import. And now browse to our workspace from our project, go to Cache, Alembic, and pick the previously exported animation. Once the animation is loaded, your head should pop into its correct position, and you can also check it through the camera. We hide the reference, and now we need to create our render passes. We need 2 render passes, one for the head and one for the bridle. For this, you select the horse head and the Yeti group, say create new layer and assign selected objects. We rename that to head, and we create another one, and we call that bridle. For the bridle layer, we hide the Yeti group, select the head selection group, which comes in with the reference. Go to the attribute editor and create an override for Arnold Met. So the head mets out the bridle. And next thing is we select the head render pass, select the layer bridle, and create again an override, but this time primary visibility, and turn that off. And the same thing for the ream. And that's it for our render pass setup. Next we need to set up our frame range. So we start with frame 1, the end frame is 54, and now we are ready to import our light preset. We go to File, Import, and the preset is under Lighting Rendering. You can't see the light setup because I selected the head render pass and it's not currently added to the render pass. So we select the light setup and say Add Selected Objects, and we do the same thing for the bridle. And then we can roughly position our light setup and finally start lighting our shot. Once we are happy with our light setup, we make a simple check of our render passes so that the bridle casts a shadow and is not visible in the horse head, and vice versa, the horse head masks the bridle in the bridle pass. The next thing is that we set our render settings to final, so we use our Drawbridge tools and say final render animation, and this will set the render resolution, motion blur on, and all different Arnold settings to the final settings. And we also set the start frame and the end frame for our sequence. Hit close, and now we are ready to submit our job to GarageFarm. We open up Render Beamer, the standalone application from GarageFarm. This will sign into your GarageFarm account, check the version for the Maya plugin and also for the Render Beamer plugin. And once it's connected, we can now go back to Maya, go to Render Beamer, hit the Render Beamer icon. We'll check for missing files, and usually it finds some missing files, but we just set a new search directory, which is under, let me show it, under the horse directory, lighting directory, horse head look dev, then source images, and click choose. And this should give you all the textures you're missing. Now we go to proceed. The frame range should be correct, render as is, and we submit our job. We confirm it, and now we wait for uploading our scene. Once our upload is complete, Render Beamer presents us with a nice window where we can submit our scene to the web manager. This will open up the GarageFarm webpage, our frame range, and since this is our first render for the shot, we want to have a couple of test frames. In this case I want to render 3 frames, and so we want to render every 18th frame. So I would simply put in 18 after the S here, and set the priority to low to save some costs. Check the output path, that looks alright. Once we checked our render settings, we simply hit submit and wait for our renders. Once your renders are complete, Render Beamer will automatically download your renders. It will download them in a specified directory, which you can change under settings, and then you can change the download directory. If you want to disable the auto download, like I did, you can simply uncheck auto download here and then download your files manually. You do this by download, Then refresh the list. This will update your render list. Then choose your render pass you want to download. Right-click, download, and then RenderBeamer will download your files. Now you know all the magic behind our Horsey Horse shots. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.